because it's the 30-year mortgage, right?
Absolutely. And, Chris and I just did a brief.
This is JJ Inc. from Against the Wall, and you're listening to UCY.TV.
Man, you need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun? What? Like a handgun for personal protection. Maybe somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Gun? Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like you Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jack footy cops in riot gear, gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun.
Michael, and I am still kind of disgusted with the political process, and tonight's another primary. What's going on, Nick?
I'm Nicholas, and it is good to be back. I was on special assignment last week, and it's nice to not be stuck in the middle of a mosquito haven.
And you didn't get any nice weather to push those mosquitoes away?
Absolutely not. I got more weather to continue breeding mosquitoes.
I got a feeling that we're about 14 hours away from mosquito apocalypse here. We got some good rain, and today it was kind of warm. And, I have a feeling that if we don't get like a ton of rain tomorrow to keep them down, it's a cold snap, we're screwed.
Yeah, I can tell you that. I've been moving the last 3 weeks due to the fact that it has rained solid for 3 weeks, and trying to move stuff that doesn't like rain, you get about one truckload a day, and then add in the fact that I had to be on special assignment for a week at a time, that just makes it more difficult. So nevertheless, it's been a week of sore muscles, bumps and bruises. And thankfully, not enough broken stuff. Haven't had a lot of broken anything, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, moving is one of my least favorite things to do. I think on one of those, it was a scale of things that cause one of the most stresses in life. Like moving was like number 5 or number 6 on that list.
Yeah, I think it was actually number 3 because it comes down to death, divorce, and then moving.
Pretty much, yeah, loss of a job. Yep. Unless you really absolutely your job.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it. So no, I'd like to give a shout out to our fake sponsor of the week. This week I am drinking Hofbrau Munich's Hefeweizen, and if they'd be willing to sponsor us, we'd give them a full shout out all the time.
A full shout out for your favorite beer. That's kind of nice. Yeah, no beer for me. I think I'm on the wagon. I think I function better without beer in me.
You know what? No one likes a quitter.
I'm doing it for the children, I should say.
Oh my goodness, that more for me.
Hey, so that kind of under the subject of intoxicants and all that, we've got an interesting story that comes out of San Francisco. there's a hybrid gun shop, which we've spoken about before in previous shows. It's the last gun shop within the city limits of San Francisco, and recently was placed under a bunch of what could easily be described as draconian restrictions on the legal commerce of a legal item in the state, in the nation. The municipality totally overstepped the state's laws and required a bunch of rulings and a bunch of regulations that were above and beyond, such as, let's go with number one, they had to videotape every transaction, and they had to keep the videotapes or whatever storage media they had in mind available for 5 years for 24/7, 365 access by law enforcement. And of course, this is all on their dime. And
it's interesting that the city and county of San Francisco, which are one and the same, it's interesting that their board of supervisors would require a legitimate business that is operating within the confines of the law, audio and videotape all transactions that occur in their store, but they wouldn't be willing to do that within the same thing for their sheriff's department, which, goes ahead and doesn't comply with immigration officers' requests to have retainers put on folks that have been deported 6 or 7 times.
Well, yeah, now you're a sanctuary city thing, and
exactly.
we're not getting into any sort of like logical territory with this story by any means. And so we go with a product that is legal in the United States and actually mentioned by name in the Constitution of the United States, and that business has been closed down, and the Highbridge Gun Shop is now going to become the Highbridge Medical Marijuana Store.
They're thinking of the children.
I fully support medical marijuana and the legalization of marijuana because I fully believe that the drug war is responsible for a great majority of the crime and associated, gun violence that we hear about, harped on in the news quite often. But I find it very interesting that this legal product that's actually mentioned in the Constitution and, is the subject of numerous Supreme Court debates, it has been forced out, and a product that is illegal at the federal level and undergoing a whole rash of states' rights fights, whether it's medical or it's recreational, that's being brought in with welcome and open arms. I personally see this as a descent into the bowels of cultural Marxism and the neo-Bolsheviks coming in and
just appreciate your alien overlords. Just accept it. It sounds like you're a bitter clinger trying to hold on to this Constitution you speak of.
Yeah, well, and holding on to those high capacity 30-round ghost clips.
Yeah,
30 rounds.
Magazine clips or whatever it was that our favorite representative or assemblyman from California comes to. So the way I look at this is that you could say that this course has come to its ultimately logical conclusion in San Francisco. It's a city that relishes in the soft underbelly of its citizens. It gives everyone the right to urinate and defecate in public, to shoot visitors to the city on the Embarcadero, which is one of the hot spots for the tourism district.
Well, and I mean, just like 2 weeks ago, maybe even less than 2 weeks ago, and I think Cracker and I spoke about this on last week's show. If not, I know that he and I have had some conversations about it. But it was what's the curvy street in San Francisco? The famous
Lombard Street.
Lombard Street, which is kind of a tourist attraction in the middle of a residential area. You'd say that's a fair assessment of it?
That is exactly a fair assessment.
Okay,
just beneath supposedly the Court Tower, this is the Russian Hill district of San Francisco.
Right. This is a famous and pricey area. Well, it's under assault right now. I mean, people can't park their cars. People are being assaulted by panhandlers and street people. Crime is through the roof, and the police aren't responding because these are petty thefts. They're being judged that way, at the 911 call center. So,
yeah. And when you think about it, it's funny to say this, but when you look at it, this is what you would call racketeering. If you've got aggressive panhandlers who are threatening you with damage to your personal property if you don't pay their protection fee, this is
we're talking about car insurance.
Yeah, that too. That's what it comes down to. And this is the one thing that I don't understand about the city and county of San Francisco, at least their board of supervisors, which runs the whole show. You've basically had control of the city since the 1960s, because 1950s San Francisco was still a very vibrant, portion of the state. It was largely patriotic, and right about the time that the Vietnam War kicked off, you're talking from like about 1969 formally, and probably a few years before then, that the counterculture really took hold in that area, and every successive government has been less and less friendly to the ideals of America in the past and what it means to be a productive citizen, and has really turned it over to the dregs of society. You're getting stipends for folks in San Francisco to purchase street drugs, to purchase heroin, to go get to go shoot up and just continue destroying their lives, instead of actually getting them the help that they need, which is to come off of this type of drugs. It's sad to say, but they'll go ahead and spend the time and the money to evict a legal and lawfully operating business and inundate them with regulations of every sort, just to ensure that the owners decide to give up. Because you know what, you can't fight City Hall longer than City Hall can fight you.
No, you. That's really the whole point of war, right? Like General Curtis LeMay said, that the whole point of war is to kill enough of them until they want to stop.
Well, yes, attrition is a good thing as long as it's in your favor.
Well, I mean that's what he said, and I mean that's pretty much the path that the United States takes in the Cold War. That's the path they took. And honestly, I think that's kind of a similar mindset that the anti-gun forces take, but they've got, they're being rebuffed at the Supreme Court level. We got a court ruling that shows that the Second Amendment not only applies to the right to keep and bear firearms, but the right to acquire them.
So now this is very interesting, because for anybody that hasn't heard, this judgment actually, or this opinion, has come out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is historically the most liberal leaning of the circuits in our judicial system. And I was shocked to read this story. And the name of the case is called Teixeira versus Alameda County. So one of the things.
So
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go right ahead.
So basically, this case revolves around counties requiring permits for concealed carry holders, especially within people wanting to get a concealed carry permit and have a distance of 500 feet around it. Basically, the judgment states that the 500-foot rule is tantamount to a backdoor ban on gun stores. So this was challenged, and basically the ruling basically says that Alameda County had offered nothing to undermine the panel's conclusion that the right to purchase and sell firearms is part and parcel of the historically recognized right to keep and bear arms. So this is actually, I would say this is a landmark decision, pending that it doesn't go before the full Supreme Court, which is actually down a very key member of that court. And to see that it comes out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, I'm shocked. This would be akin to Hillary Clinton saying that she no longer was a Democrat and was going to go vote Republican for Trump.
this is something that Chelsea Clinton recently mentioned, that now is the time to push for gun control with Scalia being gone. And they make no bones about it. It's evident in the California Democrat gun apocalypse bill.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing.
And
This may not be the right time, because we've had a string of decisions on gun control that have gone before a full Supreme Court and have been upheld in the favor of gun rights.
Yeah, but in California, it doesn't matter, because right now, I mean, there's a whole string of state bills that's in this, I guess, package you would call it. All right, so you got State Bill 880 that bans commonly and constitutionally protected firearms that have magazine locking devices. So that's the bullet button.
Right.
Now the bullet button is banned, which was the bullet button in itself was a give-in or a compromise, so to speak, with the gun control push of, what year did the bullet button come into California? What was that? That was like 95, I think, 97-ish.
Yeah,
maybe
it would have to be after the ban.
Yeah, it was after the Norrico ban. So maybe it was a little bit later than that. But the bullet button is a locking device that takes a tool or a separate object to manipulate the magazine removal. So you can't just hit a magazine release and swap out a magazine. You actually have to put a key in it somehow, or key is a euphemistic term, some sort of object, and release that button, and then you can insert another magazine, and it locks for itself. So that's leading to all magazines have to be fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that is that's a very European view on how to limit the scope of shooting instances.
Well, it really, like, how do you if you've got a fixed magazine in an AR-15, for example, how would you charge it? How would you reload it?
And that therein becomes a problem, because that weapon will no longer function as desired.
Yeah, you can't just put a stripper clip in it and reload it through the charging port. It would take a whole brand new redesign of the rifle. Right. I mean, there's a ton. I mean, State Bill 1235, restrictions on ammunition purchases, and it creates a Department of Justice database on ammunition owners. All right. State Bill 1407 retroactively requires serial numbers to be placed on firearms dating back to 1899. I mean, that's like crazy. State Bill 1466, confiscation of legally acquired standard capacity magazines that can hold over 10 rounds.
That right there. So this is interesting, because they say standard capacity is the first time that I've seen standard capacity indicate something greater than 10 rounds. That
may be the journalists implicate, his own.
That may be his interpretation. I would be shocked to see the actual language contained in that Senate bill.
I would think that the actual language does not say that. I think that's for our gun consuming culture, people who are enamored with this. That's their edification. Yeah. But I mean, it goes to, I guess it's Assembly Bill 857. Now, it goes into the greenhouse gases produced by the bullets you fire.
Yeah, well,
and Assembly Bill 1135 deals with the amount of lead that contaminates the groundwater as a result of you shooting a .22 long rifle.
I'm personally interested in the Assembly Bill 1511, which deals with energy conservation, but now will criminalize loaning of firearms between personally known and law-abiding adults, including sportsmen and hunters. This right here is dangerous ground.
Well, the crazy thing is if it's an energy bill, what does it have anything at all to do with firearms? And this is the reconciliation process where bills go to get changed and amended so that they can fit every one of the representatives' needs in terms of getting the bill to the actual vote.
I'll tell you what. We all remember the California Assemblyman who spoke about the ghost guns. I choose not to speak his name, but guys like that.
No, we should call him out. Call him out. What I forgot what's his name. His name is like.
That's partly why I wasn't going to call his name out, because he registers on my radar.
Scumbag in California. We can't remember his name, but we'll see him
when you take a look at a guy like the lieutenant governor of California, who is a guy by the name of Gavin Newsom. He's got the big D after his name. This guy is he follows the playbook. He's a Clinton disciple. And just like Hillary and Bill, this guy has been caught in some marital infidelity while he was the mayor of San Francisco. And do you know to whom he was previously married?
I have no idea who Gavin Newsom was married to.
He was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is a Fox News contributor.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know. She's like on. She does that.
She was on the 5
table thing.
Yeah, the 5, which was
she used to do that show Red Eye that used to come on like at 1 o'clock in the morning or something on Fox.
Well, I mean,
it was kind of like
as per Fox News' standards, she is definitely easy on the eyes. But just like our boy Carlos Danger out of New York, Gavin Newsom has a wandering eye, and he was caught red-handed.
Well, I mean that's kind of par for the course for the Bolshevik crowd. It's the breakdown of the morality and the standards of living and the standards of our society. That's straight up exactly what their plan is. So I mean we're looking at that, and then of course we get into the usual round of suspects. Our boy Chuck Schumer out of the great state of New York. He's got another gun bill. I mean, it wouldn't be
a
another
legislative
year of thievery if Chuck.
I was going to say it wouldn't be another legislative session without that.
All right, so can you want to go and cover what his asinine proposal of the month is?
Well, this is what it comes out as is that Gavin Newsom has the initiative on the fall ballot to
no, the Schumer one. You got the Schumer one right there?
Oh, that I did not see. No.
Yeah, I think it's the third one I sent you.
I got it. This is what happens when you take a week off to go run around in the woods.
You're out of practice.
Yeah, you forget how to operate technology. So basically, Senator Schumer, he's got the D word, and I don't think that means Democrat. I think it means something else. Has introduced legislation to further expand background checks on gun purchases from gun shows as well as online sales. And I find this interesting because the story, the author says that his announcement follows pressure from the Brady campaign, which I don't think that the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence has to pressure Chuck Schumer to do anything. And it said that he's flooded his office with more than 1,000 calls from proponents criticizing the lack of a bill. So
hey, I got to give a shout out real quick. Hawks in our wonderful chat that keeps us on our toes. It's Senator Kevin De Leon is the proprietor of the Ghost Gun establishment.
Thanks.
So shout out to that scumbag, and Ocho, you're the man. Thanks for listening, man.
Yeah, the funny thing is that you get every single one of these members of the anti-gun legislative cabal, and it's like they can get nothing accomplished so long as they keep putting up these bills. And as long as they do that, they're going to satisfy the core constituency that they listen to, which are the folks who keep getting them elected. And when was the last time? When was
easily confuse people? And honestly, straight up, it's the TV watchers. It's the people who honestly can't start their day without the Today Show and a cup of coffee and well, if they kind of like slack a little bit, they can catch Kathy Lee and Huda drinking wine at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I personally think that anybody that is on the morning show with Kathy Lee must have a last name longer than 4 letters.
Yeah, really.
I don't even know how you say that.
I think it's pronounced Tob or Cobb or Katob or I don't know.
It sounds damn Middle Eastern.
However it is, I'm pronouncing it incorrectly.
Yeah, it sounds damn Middle Eastern to me. I'm pretty sure I've met somebody with that name before.
We see that level of media addiction and just puerile propaganda that's being spread out, and then we've got one of America's most beloved journalists, truly sparkling, on more than one occasion has been described as perky and spunky. I mean, she could be truly one of America's news sweethearts. Would you agree with me?
I would disagree with you in that assessment. I would agree with you in the sense that she operates in the realm of news media. However, I don't seem to think that she's considered a sweetheart, seeing as she's been relegated to Yahoo News.
Well, in case anybody's wondering, we're talking about Katie Couric. And Katie Couric is now taking upon her shoulders the gun control crusade. She wants to initiate the common sense conversation and the rational dialogue that we as a nation, it's about time we had. And she's filed a load of sources, and one of those sources was Professor John Lott. And Nick, you're familiar with Professor Lott's work. Pretty much, he's the gold standard when it comes to any sort of statistics regarding firearms. If you're going to look at them in a logical and objective way, he wrote the book "More Guns, Less Crime," and he's. I think his big weakness is that he does not give a very strong live or videotaped interview. I think he's kind of put over a barrel at that time. Well, Katie Couric in her latest special, which I will not give the name of her latest special because I do not encourage anybody to watch it. It's bound to be the usual trash. She took 4 hours of an interview with John Lott, and I don't know if anybody's actually seen any interviews with John Lott. Usually he pops up as somebody that the anti-gun crowd can easily browbeat and ignore facts. And I don't think he gives a strong interview. His facts are indisputable and numbers are right on. He just doesn't have that personality that handles that confrontation in an interview well. Well, she took 4 hours of conversation with him and his, frankly, damning statistics to the opposition, and just didn't have time to put that into her report.
Well, it's convenient. And speaking as somebody who's personally met Miss Couric, I actually had the pleasure of making her acquaintance in the middle of downtown Kabul while she was still an employed national newscaster. I will say that it's very evident that she has an ego that is quite large, because as I was having a photo taken, she was making sure to let me know that the photo would sell for about $15 on eBay, should I so desire. So anybody that says that to you right off the bat as you're meeting them obviously has a very high opinion of themselves.
You should have asked for her signature so you could have got 18.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that you have a member of the media, which, for the longest time, ever since her time with Brian Gumbel, she's tried to really set that persona as the lovable news anchor. And like you said, kind of America's sweetheart. The thing is that I think that there's just enough people out there that really see her as the celebrity that she pretends to be, and they're willing to take her at face value for what she says. And I seem to think this is almost along the same lines as Bowling for Columbine. You're going to get a hit piece, but it's going to be marketed as something else. And, I think that honestly, a large part of the American public right now is starting to really turn their back on additional restrictions being placed on lawful gun ownership. This is, to me, nothing more than somebody trying to steer the conversation in another direction because they don't like the fact that they've lost so much ground.
Well, and their argument lacks. It's full of big, empty promises and words that tug at the heartstring, but never really get down to any sort of issue or any sort of concrete action that actually has any sort of effect. And almost every proposition out there has zero effect on any sort of gun crime other than the proposition of, well, as our loving brain damaged ex-congressman Gabby Giffords says, the effort to legalize confiscation. And I don't mean to pick on Gabby Giffords. Yes, she is brain damaged, and the way that they're using her, I believe, really kind of verges on like abuse of the disabled. Like there's laws against that kind of shit, and they're pimping out that chatty Cathy. I mean, seriously, the woman speaks like a clown. You know, I mean, truly, she's got brain damage. She's not right, and what they're using her for is immoral. I mean, they're actually physically abusing the disabled at that time.
Well, would you say that this is the same thing that happened with James Brady, the namesake of the campaign and Gun Control Inc.? Would you say that that's the same thing that happened to him?
Yeah, but they were less able to pimp out Brady because he was, I think, more of a drooler. She's got more function, and I mean, she's got the perfect amount of function for what they want to use her for. Yeah. It couldn't be any better. James Brady he was uncomfortable to look at. He was in a wheelchair, and he kind of had to wipe his mouth a lot. He really didn't say a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing.
She's good at repeating. I mean, like her phrase was, always be courageous, fight, fight, fight. The American people depend on you. I mean, that's honestly, that probably took a lot of work for her to do. And I mean, I'm not denigrating the woman by any means. She is brain damaged and she is being abused. But you have to look at what she's saying and realize that was probably the limit of what she can do. And I would not be surprised if she was bribed with like something like pudding or popsicles so she could say it. And I mean, it's cruel, but that's the level that they've taken this shit to. Now they're using the goddamn handicap and, I mean, seriously exploiting the cripple in this. I mean,
Michael, your microaggressions against the handicapable will not be tolerated on this show.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, seriously, we're in an all-out propaganda battle, and it's
I
a
think
propaganda battle that reaches every front.
You and I talked about it earlier. I don't even think it's just a propaganda battle. I think it goes generally to the core issue. We are not trying to change the discussion. We are having the language changed right in front of our face. We were talking earlier today, and it's not just about how you say something. It's the meaning that you assign to something. And that's what it comes down to. Common sense used to mean something. Now, anytime you
now it's a buzzword.
Not only is it a buzzword, but it has negative connotations for anything that is a legally and lawfully, participated or endeavored. It's disgusting.
Well, and it's gone even beyond that because now the phrase "common sense" is actually almost a 180 of that because common sense does not mean any sort of weighing anything on its options or merits and taking the path that makes the right choice. Now it's do things my way, your way is wrong.
That's where we get the elitism in it. So you're gonna have different politicians. As we run up to November, an election, and just a program note, I just received the news alert that the contest in Kentucky between Hillary and Bernie is too close to call at this time. I
can't see anybody in Kentucky that actually supports Hillary Clinton. I guess
I don't know.
From the college stuff, there's that that hardcore lesbian PE teacher faction. That,
Well, you got a
You know,
couple of major universities out there, and it seems like a
right.
lot of the universities have the younger crowd, which is predominantly going for Bernie.
So I mean, like, the only people seriously I see supporting Hillary are the hardcore sexual extremists of whatever your dysfunction is, and the communists.
Well, I mean,
The,
I think it even goes beyond that. You take a look at what she was able to accomplish across the South. The predominant demographic that she was supported by, and which led her to victories, were blacks. And there's nothing wrong saying that. It's a fact. But when you take a look at states that have voted that don't have a large proportion of the electorate being black or whatever African American,
I don't. Honestly, I don't even the black people that I know, which granted aren't all that many. I don't live in an area with a predominant amount of blacks, but
you're just an elitist.
I am a bitter, clinging elitist who's possibly simpletonized or country bumpkined.
There you go.
I don't see any kind of common person support for Hillary. It just doesn't exist, and I think
that there is, in the sense that there's a segment of the population that is just in love with that family, and I think in terms of people that contribute to her campaign, or her foundation for that matter, I think that there is a genuine group of people, or a sizable amount of the population, that are just enamored with the Clinton legacy, and kind of I've heard it compared to the Kennedys.
That's just disgusting. I mean, not that I hold the Kennedys in any super self-esteem or high esteem sort of position, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they're both dirty families, but like, there's not the Kennedy death list. There's the Clinton death list.
Oh, there is,
Kennedy,
but the Kennedy death list includes a lot of Kennedys.
Yeah, it includes the Kennedy name. The Clinton death list is other people.
There you
so,
go.
I mean, that's really the kind of, I guess, be prepared. I mean, if she comes in, she's gonna push for the Australian style gun confiscation. Right. I mean, that's
one thing I think that going forward, you haven't really heard any of the candidates talk on gun control. It really hasn't come up recently. I do hear in sound bites and snippets that Hillary Clinton really hasn't said anything. I mean, put it this way: this election was supposed to be in the bag 2 months ago for Hillary Clinton. This is uncharted territory for her, and I guarantee you, she sees memories of a Barack Obama coming from out of nowhere and taking what she feels is rightfully hers. And
right, see, that's the thing is she feels that it's rightfully hers, and it's definitely not ours.
No, and that's legitimate. That is 100%. And not only is it not ours, it's not even theirs of their own party. Nationally, Hillary Clinton has millions and millions of votes more than Bernie Sanders. However, in the contests that she wins, there's always a set of circumstances that lead up to that. And even when she doesn't win, she doesn't lose by much.
She takes the super delegates, and she takes the majority of the super delegates every time. I saw something earlier that shows that Hillary Clinton leads in places with closed primaries or voting machines that have been shown to be hackable.
Well, not only that. I mean, you got to figure that if you're voting in a state that has a closed primary, you would have had to declare your party affiliation long in advance, and Hillary Clinton benefits from that name recognition. So, a new voter that may have just decided to get into the political spectrum and really research candidates and then make a decision based on their facts. They might not have been able to register in time, or they may.
Right, you see, I see that as exactly what you're talking about. The new voter who's brand new to the system, and those tend to be Bernie Sanders voters right now and Trump voters. And I think I would almost say that Trump voters, the people who are endorsing Trump right now and the possible Trump voters, which honestly, I'd be surprised if a lot of those people show up.
And that's one of the things that I think that the
but
other
I
side
see
of the
the
House
Trump
was.
voters. I see the Trump voters as being kind of a little more rational and grounded, more down to earth, regular people that kind of know that actions have consequences versus the Bernie Sanders people who are, arguably just as equally new to this process, but have a little bit more outrage, I think, than the Trump voters do. And, whether you judge that through the actions of the supporters in actual support of Bernie Sanders. I mean, if you look at Reddit there for a while, it was every other post was, you got to have a phone bank for Bernie, and can you canvass this neighborhood? And look at me, I donated $27, and who's going to match me? And it's very reminiscent of reading about the international brigades in Spain, and no pasaran. We all stand together, and I really get this commie creeping out of it. But these voters I see or these potential voters, brand new inductees into the system, have had like the rudest wake up call in the world. They're being force fed now by their own people the fact that the system is broken, and now enough of them have had enough exposure to the system where before they thought it was illegal to buy a gun. Now that they've heard the Sanders plan, and they now realize that they can have a gun. Well, these aren't necessarily the most rational and sane people, I would say, just by the fact that they can't do math. I mean, Bernie's proposals don't make any sense in the long run. And I think that
it's a tax on the mathematically challenged.
It truly is, and I kind of can see that if there's going to be any sort of ugly and dismay caused by political supporters, I would not be surprised if it's a Bernie Sanders person who fires the first shot.
That would tend to follow the MO of most shooters, would it not?
It definitely would.
A socialist, and that's usually how it goes. I wanted to go ahead and give an update. We've had some civilian leadership drama with the Army. The Senate today confirmed the first openly gay official for the Secretary of the Army.
Secretary of the Army, and it's a gay senator from where?
No, he's not a gay senator. He's a administrator that's previously served within the Department of the Air Force. But Eric Fanning was confirmed to be the Secretary of the Army. So yeah, that's our new civilian boss.
Oh, I
had the same reaction.
Do you think that there's going to be a Lifetime movie of the week about it? That's really the question.
Oh,
The trials and the lifetime tribulations of the first gay Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now we're staying with Secretary of the Army, so he will be in the job until the next.
So I mean, this is just a half step towards the apocalypse at this point.
I don't know. I think this is a full step. So
I mean, you've got kind of a modicum of an interest in history and a passing reading of it. Do you see any kind of similarities with what's going on in the destruction of our culture and the destruction of the core fibers of our nation? And I mean, one of those being the assault on the Second Amendment that is just never ending and unceasing. And I mean, fueled as if by Rockefeller's gold.
The way I look at it, Michael, is honestly, it's pretty simple. The only other time in history that I can think a civilization has imploded under its own weight has to go back to the Roman Empire, and specifically Nero. Some people just want to watch the world burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
So
I see. Hey, so we got to give a shout out to Captain Gringo and Jack. He's got the first joke. Fanning takes it in the fanny.
Yeah, I would say that's more of a factual statement than a joke.
Not a joke. Not a joke. It's for real.
Yep.
Yeah. So which
So-
bathroom does he use?
Well, so
That's the question.
the interesting thing is that we've had a acting Secretary of the Army named Patrick Murphy, who is a former service member himself, and no good job goes unpunished. Secretary Fanning was actually quite engaged with soldiers across the Army, traveling, doing physical training. We actually receive a weekly update from him, which was unprecedented in my 21 years of service. It was quite refreshing. And then all of a sudden, of course, the social justice march forward in incorporating gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, queer, and intersex. I think I hit them all. That is the new path going forward. I think it's a sign of the times. And mostly a sign of the times. It means it's time for me to retire. When I've got to go to equal opportunity training, and the academy, which spits out officers, has 16 female cadets taking Black Lives Matters photos, saying that these are going to be the women that are going to go lead soldiers. Yeah, no thanks. I think we're done here.
Because like the transgender thing to me really is kind of the biggest like tempest in a teapot ever. Like number one, what, like trannies didn't go to the bathroom like before now?
No,
was it truly that big of a problem?
I mean,
what I'm saying is that it's a spotlight on this one area of decay of society, when it's like they put every floodlight on this one corner of the rug that's kind of got a stain on it, when the rest of the rug is on fire. They're not looking at that. And I find that to be just kind of odd, but I'm going to ask you a legit question. So now that the military accepts the use of transgendered soldiers,
no, has not yet.
Okay, so are they going to?
There's a story out on the Stars and Stripes yesterday that has said that push may end up being shelved pending the election, and hearing that this may be, the new administration.
Like, let's go through, like, which PT standards would they use?
Well, see, that's the interesting point. I think that, that first off won't even be entertained at some point. If it goes to be instead of an actual service making the choice to integrate versus being told to integrate by the Department of Defense. So I think that, you've got some pushback from, say, like the Marine Corps, which did studies, did research, was fair and impartial when recommending that women not be integrated into their infantry. It was a lieutenant colonel who pushed forward and said, I'm putting my career on the road, and saying this is something that we have seen time and time again throughout our trials, was that women did not hold the standard that men are held to in the infantry. They have the SOI, which is called the School of Infantry, as well as the platoon leaders course, or PLC. You can't mess with facts, but you can sure muddy the waters. And this is what it comes down to,
I think that's a microaggression to bring up muddy waters in this situation.
Well, when we're talking about the new Secretary of the Army, that just may be a result of some intestinal or bowel discomfort.
Some heavy traffic on the 40.
Yeah. So
that's horrible. We got to stop talking about that stuff. So any products out there grabbing your eye in the recent?
Actually, with the past couple of weeks that I've been moving, I have been negligent in actually purchasing the rail for my latest build. So, You have my word. Within the next 7 days, I will purchase a rail for my 223 Wild build, and I will talk about that at length on the next show.
All right. No ammunition purchases, I'm guessing.
No, actually, I did happen to find a load of 8mm Mauser ammo that I had reloaded as a part of this move, and I located them for about 5 minutes. Lord knows where they're at now.
Probably relost them.
Yeah, but you know what? They were in their blue little case, so as soon as I find those, they'll go back somewhere. I'll tell you what. If you have the necessity to change locations, I recommend that you would employ some very strong college or university students with strong backs and weak minds. that's coming from a guy with a very weak back and a very strong mind.
Yeah, it's that moving thing gets really kind of like, it's no more fun after the age of 35. It really isn't.
Yeah,
it's like work.
I tell you what, as I look at 40 next year, I'm not trying to do any kind of moving. The next one's on the government, so it's a good thing.
Hey,
good thing I pay taxes.
The next one being on the government, if we're going to get back kind of onto that subject again real quick, let me throw something else at you that points to a further decline in the fabric of society again. What do you think about the females being drafted?
I think that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I personally think that if you want every opportunity that a male is given, then
do you want your daughter to be drafted? Do you want your daughter to go and sign up for the selective service?
Well, thankfully for me, my daughter has a medically prohibitive condition to serving. So
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
You know what? Had it been there, I joined the service to make sure that my kids wouldn't have to go do what I do. Now, having said that, if at some point one of my children says, "Hey, I'm going to do this," if it's of their own volition, that's one thing, because you know what, nobody in the world could talk me out of what I chose to do as a profession, and many people tried. But
that was up to you. But what I'm saying is in our society, traditionally, it's been the male.
See, this is the argument, because it's no longer our society. Our society.
No, it is not. It is not.
Right. Our society, which previously existed, you're right. Traditionally, that wasn't the option. However, this is the age of equality, and with equality becomes the equal rights and the equal opportunities. And you know what? There's equal responsibilities that go with it, which is one of those things that people like to neglect.
Okay, so I'm going to step back about a week or so, or maybe actually probably about 2 weeks now, maybe a little bit longer than that. There was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Obama gave the speech, and his speech was, I guess you could look at it as irreverent with quotation marks around it. But at the end of the speech, he said, "Thank you for attending the end of the Republic," and he dropped the mic. How much truth was in that statement?
Nobody wants to be the messenger, right? Sometimes it just happens accidentally.
Yeah, it was. I thought they usually left that job for Joe Biden.
Yeah, no, they got to leave it for somebody who's just the right size to fail. Namely, like the guy who set up Hillary Clinton's server. That guy's that's just the right size to fail.
Did you see anything that said that his emails could no longer be located?
I have not seen that. However, I've seen that the FBI is still...
I don't think she's getting nailed for it. I don't think nothing's going to happen to her.
No. And here's one of those things. And after this, we got to hit some 4 rules of firearm safety. But listen for a moment, if you will, and suspend all disbelief. What's to say that the FBI recommends to the Department of Justice to indict Hillary Clinton, and the Department of Justice, who is you have the Attorney General of the United States, who decides to decline to prosecute?
Right. And I mean, what's her name?
Loretta Lynch.
Loretta Lynch. She's a Hillary buddy.
Yeah, there you go. It's not such a far-fetched
Yeah.
plan. So go ahead and hit up some 4 rules of firearm safety.
All right. First rule of firearm safety is every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically ensure that it is not loaded. Rule number 2 is keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction. Don't cover anything with the muzzle that you do not wish to destroy. Rule number 3, know what your target is and know what is beyond your target at all times. Don't have that stray flyer go and cause a problem. And the 4th rule, the most important rule, is to keep the booger hook off the bang switch until you're ready to discharge the weapon. Can't say it enough. There's no accidental discharges. They are all negligent, and your negligence is keeping the booger hook on your finger on the trigger until you are ready to pull it. I mean, the gun does not go off. So
yeah, and that's one of those things where we say you change the lexicon and you change the argument, because firearms just do not go off unless it's like maybe pennies.
Or what's that? That Taurus 24/7 that's in that lawsuit.
Yeah. So what did you think about the Kel-Tec PF9 being offered on assorted and sundry gun broker websites?
Last I heard, since we have to touch this because it's big kind of news. Last I heard, it was now up for $100,000 on some off-brand gun broker type website. He put it up on Gun Broker once, and Gun Broker pulled it off right before the auction went live, and then he put it back on and immediately started getting like bids of like $65 million or something like that. And then he pulled it off and put it on the next site.
Yeah, so basically what Gun Broker had said was that they reserve the right to limit any and all auctions depending upon what their individual criteria is for maintaining the auction on their site. It's been speculated that these were largely in line with the Black Lives Matter movement, who were creating accounts and putting up exorbitant bids.
I saw the news that it was hitting online I think it was probably about 10 o'clock or so, the night before the auction. And I immediately went to the Daily Cause, which is the leading site for the Bolshevik updates, all that you could ever need. If you need to read crazy shit, read the Daily Cause. And they were talking about, several commenters were talking about, pooling money together to get the gun. And
wouldn't the bid constitute a contract to buy?
Well, I would definitely say that if they did that, I mean, you're looking at like probably the greatest straw purchase event.
I was about to say that's
relying on 4473, which is its own set of joy. Yeah, I mean, but hey, law doesn't real; it's only feels. Yeah. Law doesn't real, dude. Facts are what white men use to oppress me daily.
Man, so aggrieved.
I have been microaggressed.
Yes.
I am without a safe space at this time.
My safe space expands pretty much 360 degrees all around me because I'm armed and I got not a care in the world.
That's really what they don't want, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think you just summed it all up. You are safe because you have the willingness to defend yourself and the means to do it. And they do not want you to have that.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the Democratic convention in Philly and see if the Sanders supporters do as what is being suggested and they try and burn it down.
Our song will come to fruition, and then we will be on the NSA list of, we'll be like Nostradamus or something. We predicted it.
Nostradamus says keep your butt hook off the bang switch.
That's not it. Hey, that's the idea for T-shirt right there.
Yeah, that's right.
I can see that. Yeah, this show promotes jihad, and we're responsible for it because we're Bernie Sanders voters. Oh dear Lord!
Yeah, don't
What
say that too loud.
a wonderful
Yeah.
What a wonderful.
Yeah, Michael, want to
Yeah,
give a quick shout out. One of our guests, Bob Mason, and he has his birthday today, so we've had him on in the past, and want to say thanks to our listeners in chat. Michael, it's good to talk to you.
It's wonderful. Happy birthday, Bob. Nick, UCY.TV gives us a chance to do this as often as we can. Everybody, thanks for listening. Lots of good programming up tonight, and